Life is not about waiting for sympathy or pity. It's about choosing resilience when everything inside you wants to quit. Sympathy may feel comforting in the moment, but it won't build the strength you need to face the storms of life. David Goggins teaches us that true transformation comes when you stop seeking comfort and start demanding strength from yourself. This is not about being the victim, it's about becoming unbreakable. Sympathy is one of the most seductive traps human being can fall into because it feels good in the moment. It feels like someone finally understands your pain. It feels like someone is validating your struggle, but the truth is sympathy never built a single warrior. Sympathy never forged a champion. Sympathy never carried a man or woman through fire and left them standing stronger on the other side. When you live for sympathy, you start training your mind to expect it. You become addicted to being the victim, and your entire identity gets tied to weakness. You tell yourself stories about why you can't do something unfair, why the world owes you a break. And when people nod, pat you on the back, or say, "I'm sorry you're going through this," you feel a brief sense of relief. But that relief fades, and what you are left with is the exact same pain, the same weight, the same change you had before. Nothing changes. You are still stuck in the same place, and every time you reach for sympathy again, you reinforce your own prison. Strength, on the other hand, doesn't give you that immediate comfort. Strength is ugly in the beginning. Strength doesn't come with people cheering you on when you're alone at 4 in the morning tying your shoes for a run you don't want to take. Strength doesn't show up when you're lying in bed crying and hoping someone texts you to check if you're okay. Strength is built when nobody is there, when the silence is heavy, when every excuse is louder than your will, and you choose to move anyway. That's why sympathy is temporary and strength is permanent. Strength doesn't give you validation for a moment. It changes your DNA. It rewires your mind. It builds a foundation that can't be shaken by pity, opinions, or even failure. When you look at people like David Goggins, you realize that the defining factor of their lives isn't how much sympathy they receive, but how much suffering they chose to endure without needing a hand to hold. Goggins was overweight, depressed, stuck in a cycle of self-hatred, and he could have begged for sympathy his entire life. And he probably would have gotten it. People would have said, "It's okay, you had a tough childhood. It's okay, life wasn't fair to you." And he could have nodded, accepted that narrative, and stayed weak. But instead of leaning on sympathy, he hunted for strength. He looked in the mirror and confronted his own reflection, not with excuses, but with accountability. He turned his pain into fuel, his scars into armor, and he kept running into discomfort until discomfort became home. The reason sympathy is so dangerous is because it feels like progress when it's not. It gives you the illusion that you've done something. That because people see your struggle, somehow the struggle is lighter. But the reality is that only strength reduces the weight. Sympathy keeps you locked in the same story. Strength rewrites it. Strength teaches you that the world doesn't owe you anything and that everything you want is on the other side of your effort. Sympathy wants to keep you comfortable, but comfort is the enemy of growth. Every person who has ever broken through limitations, who has ever achieved greatness, who has ever transformed their life, did so not by gathering sympathy, but by gathering scars. Think about it. When life punches you in the face, you have two choices. You can cry out for someone to hold you, to tell you it's unfair, to reassure you that you're not to blame. Or you can stand up with a bloody mouth and say, "Hit me again, I'm still here." The first option will give you friends who feel sorry for you, but it will not give you power. The second option may leave you alone for a while, but it will make you unstoppable. Strength outlasts every setback. Strength doesn't dissolve when people stop checking on you. Strength doesn't vanish when your circumstances don't change. Strength is permanent because it is yours, built by your own hands, earned by your own sweat, and forged in the furnace of your own suffering. The world is full of people addicted to sympathy. Scroll through social media, and you'll see it, people broadcasting their pain not to heal it, but to be seen in it. They want attention. They want validation. They want to be told it's okay. And maybe it feels good for an hour. Maybe it feels good for a day. But the problem is the pain doesn't move. The weight doesn't get lighter. The cycle continues, and they never rise. If you want to rise, you need to cut the cord with sympathy and build a marriage with strength. Sympathy feeds the wound. Strength heals it. Sympathy keeps you weak. Strength makes you dangerous. Strength is not about never needing people. It's not about being cold or emotionless. It's about refusing to let P dictate the direction of your life. Strength is about understanding that every tear you cry is fuel for discipline. Every setback is a test of resilience. Every failure is a chance to sharpen your blade. Sympathy will try to convince you that you're fragile, but strength will prove that you are indestructible. Sympathy will wrap you in blankets and tell you to rest, but strength will drag you out of bed and force you to fight. Sympathy wants to comfort you in the dark. Strength wants to light the fire that burns the darkness away. When you embrace strength, You stop asking, why me? And start asking, what now? You stop seeing obstacles as punishments and start seeing them as opportunities. You stop waiting for someone else to carry you and realize your own legs are enough. Sympathy is always temporary because it depends on other people. It's external. Strength is permanent because it is internal. It belongs to you. No one can take it. No one can weaken it unless you allow them to. David Goggins once said that most people quit at 4% of their capacity. Sympathy makes you stop at 40%. It convinces you that you've had enough, that you deserve a break, that you've been through too much already. Strength ignores the 40%, the 60%, the 80%, the 100% you didn't know existed. Sympathy tells you to sit down. Strength tells you to keep running. Sympathy tells you it's okay to give up. Strength tells you it's unacceptable to quit. And the truth is, strength will hurt. It will break you down. It will strip you of your illusions. It will push you into loneliness, exhaustion, and self-doubt. But it will also rebuild you. It will create a version of you that you never thought was possible. That's why it's permanent. Once you've tasted the strength you built for yourself, you'll never trade it for the fleeting comfort of sympathy again. Sympathy fades the moment people turn away, but strength walks with you into every battle, every storm, every moment of doubt. Sympathy is a shadow that disappears in the light, but strength is the fire that creates the light. So when life comes at you, stop asking for sympathy. Stop chasing validation. Stop waiting for someone to pick you up. Stand up on your own, face the storm, and get stronger. Because when it's all said and done, nobody remembers the person who got the most sympathy. They remember the one who got the most scars and refused to break. Strength is permanent. It's your only way forward. It's the only thing that will carry you through the darkness. And once you own it, no one can ever take it from you. Discomfort is the most honest teacher you will ever encounter because it strips away all illusions, all excuses, all masks. People spend their entire lives running from discomfort, searching for ways to stay comfortable, safe, and unchallenged. But what they don't realize is that every great transformation, every breakthrough, every ounce of real growth is born in the fire of discomfort. Discomfort doesn't lie to you. It doesn't tell you're fine when you're not. It puts you face to face with your limits, exposes your weaknesses, and forces you to confront the parts of yourself you would rather ignore. And while comfort feels nice, it never changes you. Comfort is the slow poison of potential, while discomfort is the forge of greatness. Think about the times in your life when you grew the most. It wasn't when everything was easy, when everyone agreed with you, or when you were celebrated. It was when you were under pressure, when the weight felt unbearable, when the pain made you question if you could go on. Those are the moments that forced you to dig deeper, to find strength you didn't know you had, to adapt, to sharpen yourself. Discomfort breaks down the old version of you and demands that you build a new one. If you resist it, you stay weak. If you embrace it, you come out stronger, wiser, and unrecognizable to the person you were before. David Goggins embodies this truth. He didn't become who he is by chasing comfort. He became who he is by intentionally seeking discomfort, by running into pain instead of away from it, by using suffering as a tool to callous his mind. He understood that growth doesn't happen in the safe zone. Growth happens when you put yourself in situations that stretch you, humiliate you, challenge you, and nearly break you. That's where the magic is, because that's where you learn what you are truly made of. Comfort hides your potential, discomfort reveals it. The human body itself proves this law. When you lift weights, your muscles don't grow from comfort. They grow from micro tears created under tension. That discomfort signals the body to repair itself stronger than before. When you run long distances, it's not the first easy miles that change you. It's when your lungs are burning, your legs feel like cement, and your brain screams to quit. That is the threshold where growth happens. Discomfort is not punishment. It is a signal. It is life saying, here is your opportunity to level up. Most people misinterpret discomfort as a sign to stop. The moment they feel pain, they retreat. The moment the challenge gets real, they back off. They assume that if it's uncomfortable, it must not be for them. But that thinking is the very reason why most people stay average, unfulfilled, and weak. Discomfort is not a stop sign. It's a doorway. The problem is that doorway is guarded by fear, doubt, and suffering. To walk through it, you have to endure it. You have to accept that you will hurt, that you will sweat, that you will fail along the way. And yet, when you pass through, you emerge on the other side transformed. What separates people like Goggins from the masses is that he doesn't just tolerate discomfort. He seeks it out. He runs ultra marathons when his body is broken. He jumps into ice cold water when most people won't even take a cold shower. He pushes himself beyond exhaustion, beyond what most people would consider sane, because he knows that each moment of discomfort is another brick in the foundation of resilience. He knows if he can master discomfort in training, he can master anything in life. That mindset is what allows people like him to stand unshaken in storms that would destroy others. Discomfort also reveals the truth about who you are when no one is watching. Anyone can smile when life is easy. Anyone can feel strong when the environment is comfortable. But when the situation becomes painful, when the grind comes unbearable, when the voices in your head tell you to quit, that's when your character is revealed. Do you fold? Do you look for sympathy? Or do you push through, bleed sweat, and come out the other side with proof that you can survive the storm? Discomfort strips away the layers of who you pretend to be and forces you to confront who you really are. And only when you confront the truth can you build a stronger version of yourself. The trap of modern life is that it gives us endless ways to escape discomfort. With the touch of a button, we can distract ourselves, medicate ourselves, or numb ourselves. We avoid silence because silence forces us to hear our own thoughts. We avoid hard work because it forces us to face failure. We avoid physical challenge because it hurts. But in avoiding discomfort, we are also avoiding growth. We are trading long-term power for short-term ease. And that trade always leaves us weaker, more fragile, more dependent on comfort than before. If you want to grow, you must flip the script. You must rewire your relationship with discomfort. Instead of seeing it as something to avoid, you must see it a compass pointing you toward growth. If something scares you, it's probably exactly what you need to do. If something challenges you, it's probably exactly where you need to be. If something hurts, it's probably exactly what will make you stronger. Discomfort is not your enemy. It is your ally. It is the fire that will burn away the excuses, the weakness, and the lies, leaving behind only strength. The most successful people in any field, athletes, entrepreneurs, artists, warriors, have all learned this lesson. They don't just accept discomfort, they pursue it. They train harder than necessary, they work longer than required, they push themselves into the unknown. Because they know that the edge of discomfort is where their true selves are forged. They live in the zone most people spend their lives avoiding, and that's why they achieve results most people will never touch. There is no growth in comfort because comfort asks nothing of you. Comfort lets you stay the same. Discomfort demands everything. Discomfort demands your discipline, your focus, your courage, your resilience. It will break you down and test you in ways that comfort never will. And in that breaking, you will discover they're capable of far more than you believed. That's why discomfort is the path to growth. It is the only path. Every other road leads to stagnation, regret, and mediocrity. So the next time you feel discomfort, don't run it. Don't look for a way out. Lean into it. Push through. Let it teach you. Let it harden you. Let it expose the parts of yourself that need to be rebuilt. Because one day, when life throws you in the fire, you'll realize that discomfort was never your enemy. It was your training. It was your preparation. It was the gift that built you into someone who can endure anything. Discomfort is not there to break you. It is there to make you. It is not a curse. It is the blessing in disguise that separates the strong from the weak, the disciplined from the lazy, the extraordinary from the ordinary. Embrace it and you will grow. Reject it and you will stay the same. The choice is always yours. Discipline is the foundation of strength, the invisible force that separates the dreamers from the doers, the talkers from the warriors. Without discipline, motivation fades, passion dies, and goals turn into fantasies. Discipline is not glamorous. It is not loud. It is not something you can post online to get applause. It is silent, relentless, and often brutal. It is the voice that tells you to get up when everything inside you begs to stay down. It is the power to follow through on your promises long after the mood you made them in has vanished. Discipline is what builds the warrior within, because no amount of talent, luck, or opportunity can stand in the absence of consistent, disciplined effort. When you look at someone like David Goggins, you see the embodiment of this truth. He didn't become who he is because he was gifted with a special gene or because life handed him easy opportunities. He became who he is because he cultivated discipline at a level most people will never even attempt. He woke up even day and did the work, not just when he felt like it, but especially when he didn't. He ran on broken legs, trained through pain, and refused to let excuses dictate his destiny. That is the refusal to bow to comfort, the refusal to let emotions control actions, the refusal to quit when quitting feels easier than breathing. Discipline is what transforms weakness into strength and chaos into clarity. Without discipline, the mind becomes a slave to feelings, constantly pulled in every direction by laziness, fear, and distraction. But discipline teaches the mind to obey. It takes control of impulses and forces action when inaction seems tempting. Discipline doesn't care if you are tired, stressed, or uninspired. Discipline says, do it anyway. Discipline is the internal command that keeps you aligned with your higher self when your lower self is screaming to stop. That is why discipline builds the warrior within. Because a warrior is not ruled by emotion, but by mission. A life without discipline is a life lived at the mercy of chance. You may achieve small victories here and there, but you will never sustain greatness. Because greatness requires repetition, and repetition requires discipline. Anyone can show up once. Anyone can work hard for a week. But can you show up every day, year after year, regardless of how you feel? Can you grind in the dark with no applause, no recognition, no reward in sight? Can you remain consistent when no one is watching, when the results are invisible and progress feels painfully slow? That is the true test, and only discipline allows you to pass it. Discipline is also the antidote to fear and doubt. When you are disciplined, you don't need to wonder if you can handle the storm because you have trained yourself to endure it. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you build trust in your own strength. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you add another brick to the fortress of your mind. And when the world falls apart, when everything around you crumbles, that fortress stands. That is what makes you a warrior, not the absence of fear, but the ability to act in spite of it, because you have trained yourself through discipline to move forward no matter what. The world glorifies motivation, but motivation is fleeting. You can wake up one day full of fire, ready to conquer the world, but by the next day that fire can be gone. Discipline is the constant that keeps you moving when the fire dies. It is the engine that drives you forward even in the absence of fuel. Discipline doesn't rely on inspiration because inspiration comes and goes. Discipline relies on choice. You choose to act, and in choosing, you build momentum. That is why discipline outlasts motivation every single time. Discipline is also deeply connected to identity. Every time you practice it, you are casting a vote for the person you want to become. When you wake up early to train, you are not just exercising. You are reinforcing the identity of someone who does hard things. When you stick to your commitments, you are not just following rules. You are building the identity of someone who can be trusted. When you push through discomfort, you are proving to yourself that you are not fragile, that you are capable more than you thought. Discipline is not just about actions, it is about transformation. It builds the warrior within by shaping the very way you see yourself. But discipline is not easy. It requires saps. It requires you to say no to temporary pleasures in pursuit of permanent strength. It requires you to delay gratification, to endure boredom, to push through pain. Discipline is lonely. It is waking up when the world is asleep. It is working when others are partying. It is sacrificing the comfort of now for the glory of later. Most people are not willing to pay that price. And that is why most people never touch their full potential. But if you want to be a warrior, if you want to be unbreakable, you have to be willing to walk that path. Discipline also has a ripple effect on every area of life. If you build discipline in your body, it spills into your mind. If you build discipline in your work, it spills into your relationships. Discipline creates order where there is chaos, and it multiplies results over time. Small disciplined actions repeated daily create massive transformations that others mistake for luck or talent. But you know, it wasn't luck. It was the quiet, unseen discipline you practiced when no one cared. That is the warrior's path: unseen labor, invisible struggle, relentless repetition. And the beauty of discipline is that once it is forged, it cannot be easily broken. Once you have trained yourself to act regardless of feeling, you no longer need to wait for the perfect conditions. You create your own conditions. You move forward in storms, in darkness, in silence. Discipline makes you unstoppable because it removes need for permission. You no longer need the world to encourage you, to applaud you, or to make things easier. You become self-sustained, driven by an inner command that does not waver. The warrior within you is not born in a moment of glory. He is not born on the stage, under the spotlight, at the finish line. He is born in the small, unglamorous moments when you choose discipline over comfort. He is born every time you wake up early, every time you push through fatigue, every time you do the hard thing when nobody is watching. That is when the warrior is forged. In the silence, in the grind, in the discipline of showing up again and again. So understand this: without discipline, you will always be at the mercy of your moods, your doubts, and your fears. With discipline, you become unshackable. With discipline, you can endure anything. With discipline, you build a warrior within who cannot be defeated by circumstance, who cannot be broken by failure, who cannot be stopped by pain. Discipline is not just a habit. It is the foundation of power, the root of strength, the soul of the unbreakable. Build it, live it, and you will discover that the warrior you have been searching for has been inside you all along, waiting for the fire of discipline to bring him to life.